Hey guys, today we're going to talk the Cloverfield paradox. This is the third movie in the Cloverfield universe after Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane. It is directed by Julius Onah and stars Mbatha-Raw, Daniel Brühl, Elizabeth Debicki, Chris O'Dowd, Zhang Ziyi, and many others. Because there's a lot of people in this movie. All the stars are like medium stars, I would say. Some have been in Avengers films like Daniel Brühl and Elizabeth Debicki, and others like Zhang Ziyi are going to be in Godzilla and in big budget movies like those. So yeah, it's a very interesting cast, and I think one of the better aspects of this movie is actually the performances. This movie is about, again, the Cloverfield universe, and we don't really know when it happens, if it happens in the future or in the past or whatever. I mean, it's our future, but we don't really know how it fits into the other two movies, so it's kind of difficult to think about that. But it's about basically a group of astronauts that operate a large hadron collider, the one that's in Switzerland, but in space, and they want to use that in order to basically to have perpetual energy and to get the planet out of this crisis that has been happening, where there's no electricity, there's no gasoline, there's no anything, and there's wars and everything. So they just want to solve that with a peaceful scientific experiment. That goes wrong, of course, and that's where the movie happens, basically. Again, the performances in this movie are the strong part of the movie. Mbatha-Raw is the protagonist. I mean, she's really front and center, and it's kind of strange for a science fiction movie to have not to have a woman as a leading character, because we have had Ripley, for example, in the Alien franchise. The different thing here is that she's a black woman, and that is really contemporary, and that's really great, because we really need more black women in movies. If you see 5 movies sometimes over the year, you don't really happen to see any black women ever. So it's like, the last one was maybe in Thor Ragnarok, and I mean, without talking about Black Panther, of course. It's really tricky, so I'm really happy that they decided to go with her as a protagonist. Of course, the director of this movie is a black man, and he's from Nigeria, so that's very uncommon too, and that's great that they have talent from all over the world working in this movie. The big thing about this movie, I think, is how it came to be not made, but meant to be seen by people, basically, because this movie was done by Paramount, who has done all the other Cloverfield movies, and maybe all of J.J. Abrams' movies except for Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and Star Wars Episode 9, of course. Paramount sold the rights of this movie, only of this movie, not the other Cloverfield future movies, because we already know there are going to be other movies, but only this one. So it's really interesting that they sold this to Netflix, and Netflix just was in the Super Bowl. They were like, do you want to see something interesting? When the Super Bowl ends, you can watch the Cloverfield paradox, and everyone was like, oh, but apparently it didn't do so well. Apparently more people saw Bright and Altered Carbon in Netflix. I mean, Altered Carbon, I'm not really interested. I mean, I have seen Blade Runner, so it doesn't impress me at all. And Bright stars Will Smith, and I really don't like Will Smith as a protagonist of anything, to be honest. So I'm not watching that, but I did watch the Cloverfield paradox, and again, the big thing about this movie are the performances. The science fiction part of it is a little bit too complicated. I don't think many people will understand anything that's happening, like parallel universes and an arm that moves, and you see that on the trailer, that's not spoiler. And so many little things that happen that they're absolutely confusing. You're like, okay, what's happening? I don't think that a person that hasn't seen the other two movies understands this one. I mean, it's really, really confusing. And for a person that has seen the other ones, I'm confused too, because I don't know when and where it happens, and it's very confusing. And it would be helpful that if they released something. Sometimes it's nonsense, and I think the next movie won't explain anything, because they have said it happens in World War II or something. So yeah, whatever. And as the story is kind of confusing, of course, the screenplay is not very good. I mean, the dialogue is a little bit simple. I mean, too simple for science fiction. I mean, we have to get a little bit more intelligent with our screenwriting in science fiction. I mean, sometimes people write the same exact thing over and over again, and that shouldn't happen. and some characters are very underused. I mean, especially those who don't speak English. So it's really nice because at the start you're like, oh, they're from Brazil, Germany, China, whatever, and they don't speak English. They're like, or they really don't speak at all. So it's really underwhelming that, because you're like, oh, the world unites. Not really, because of course the big stars are the ones from English-speaking countries. So it's kind of, okay, you brought us here for nothing, thank you, bye. So that's kind of sad. You just should use it. If you're going to use it, just use it, basically. If you're going to use an international cast, and it's not really international because the guy that plays a Brazilian is not really Brazilian, but whatever. Just use them, just really use them. And the fact that Sensi only speaks Chinese and the others speak English, and everyone knows Chinese but they speak in English to her, I mean, it's really stupid and complicated. And make her speak English. I mean, I know she speaks English because she spoke it in Memoirs of a Geisha, so come on, I mean, get real. I mean, this movie has so many little flaws that affect the whole thing, that they had really worked the screenplay. I think, again, the screenplay is the thing about this movie and about many movies. If they had worked really hard on it, I think they would have a better movie, basically, a really good movie. This movie is really interesting, to be honest. And again, Mbatha-Raw is very interesting. She has a really good character, not well built, to be honest, but she really does what she can with the character that she has been given. I mean, it could be so much better, but they really does a lot with it, and that's really great. Chris O'Dowd is very funny again. Daniel Brühl is very, he's a very good actor, and he does what he can with this character. And the movie again is interesting. It happened. Some of the things that happen are really interesting, but it plays a little bit like a slasher movie sometimes, and then like a very boring scientific movie. I mean, it's all over the place, and it would have been nice if they had worked on the screenplay. So yeah, I hope the Cloverfield 4 is better, and apparently there's a Cloverfield 5 even already in production. Cloverfield 4 has already finished production, so we're going to see that later this year, I think. I am not even sure, but yeah, this Cloverfield universe is here and here to stay, and we have to get used to it, apparently. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video and this review. Please like this video, share this on your social media, and please comment down below if you have seen the Cloverfield Paradox. What do you thought about it? Do you think it was interesting, or do you think it was like, whatever? So yeah, please write that below, and of course subscribe to my channel for more content in English and in Spanish. Thank you so much. Goodbye.